Good evening and welcome to this episode of Beef Tips and Gravy. I'm John Houston, Director of Business Services with ProTrition Feed. I'm happy today to have with me Mr. Dale Bryson, who is the coordinator of a brand new program, Dale, that Tennessee Farmers Co-op and some other entities have put together to help beef cattle producers with their marketing, their animal health, and hopefully provide a high quality product for the consumer. So with that, let me just ask you to give us some back history, Dale, of the Vacc-60 program.
Yeah, thanks, John, for having me. Thanks for asking me. Vacc-60 is a 60-day preconditioned calf program. What we mean by that is we are trying to convert calves from high-risk cattle to low-risk cattle. And we do that by weaning them on the farm, feeding them for 60 days, and putting 2 rounds of animal health in them. John, the back history of this is that these type programs have been on the market for years. There are lots of different programs like this on the market. But with everybody's effort in promoting this, we still find that very few beef producers participate in these programs. And we just think that's a shame. We think that beef producers are leaving a lot of money on the table. And we are also inadvertently giving ourselves a black eye by not producing the quality of cattle that buyers want time and time again. So Vacc-60 is a program that we have defined and are bringing to the market, trying to promote the idea of preconditioning cattle so that more of these cattle will be converted from high-risk cattle. Because what happens is these calves, when we wean them on trailer fumes, as Clyde Lane used to say, those cattle get sick and die. The buyers discount those calves to take that into account. If we can wean these calves on the farm, feed them for 60 days, they will be much healthier. They'll perform much better here and in the next phase of production. And consequently, the buyers will pay more for these cattle.
In most cases, we see that to be true time and time again. So tell me about who the sponsors are, if you will, if that's a good term, Dale, of the Vacc-60 program, and how the marketing works with this program.
Sponsor probably is a really good term because there's really not any partners per se. There's no financial partnership involved in Vacc-60, but United Producers, who is the group that took over for Tennessee livestock producers, helped us develop this program, along with resources from the major animal health companies. Boehringer Ingelheim, Zoetis, and Merck were all involved in putting together the protocols. Further, we went to our member managers and asked their help in designing this program.
And that would be the co-op member managers.
The co-op member managers. We also brought into play ProTrition, which is the new joint venture between Co-op Feeds and Purina. We did all of this with the hope that it would be a broad spectrum program that would raise the bar to where we would produce some really top quality cattle, but would give the producer plenty of options on how to meet those qualifications.
Right, and so what are some of those options when it comes to feed requirements, if any, or animal health protocols? What are some of those, just at a high level, Dale?
On feed, the main thing we are doing on feed is we are going from the traditional standpoint of bunk broke to saying, hey, we want a balanced diet. And so that means roughage, energy, protein, major minerals, minor minerals, vitamins. And a lot of the feed programs we see on the marketplace today do not have that mineral fortification. So we've written that into the program, that's part of the program. Additionally, we want a free choice product that has what we call the organic or the chelated trace minerals. Mm-hmm. And the reason for that is We know that so many of these weaned calves are trace mineral deficient. They're stressed, they're trace mineral deficient. We're giving them vaccines, and we know that if we can replete their trace mineral status, bring their trace mineral status back up to normal, then these vaccines will be much more effective.
Absolutely. So from a vaccine standpoint, you mentioned three vaccine companies that were involved in helping organize the program. So tell us a little bit about what some of those protocols might be.
There are 8 different defined protocols, and the producers choose one of those 8, not all 8.
Right.
One of the 8, and our expectation that any of the cattle that are processed under any of those protocols will basically be equivalent. There's 2 rounds of modified live, or let me put it this way, at least 1 round of modified live vaccine, full complement of respiratory, full complement of blackleg. We use a branded dewormer. Again, we've bumped the notch up just a little bit to make a top shelf program. And in doing so, by asking these major companies to give us these protocols, they have come back to us and said, if you'll follow these protocols, and if you'll document what you've done, we'll stand behind these cattle 100%. If there is a problem, and we don't think there will be, but if there's a problem, they will put the full weight and force of their companies behind trying to resolve the problem.
And that's very, very important, and that's why we always want to have partners, and have enjoyed the partnerships that we have with these animal health manufacturers. So Dale, is there a better time of the year to be enrolled in this program? Do the cattle do better maybe at certain times of the year? What do you think about that?
Any time of the year, cattle that have been through the Vacc-60 program should be, and we think very confidently will be, worth more than if they have not gone through this program. In my opinion, the absolute best time to be marketing Vacc-60 cattle is October. October in this part of the world is what the buyers call calf killing month. And what they mean by that, these high-risk cattle that have not gone through a program like Vacc-60 will get sick and die. They don't like to be buying those kind of cattle in the month of October, so consequently they discount them heavily. Late July, late August, if a producer has cattle that he anticipates marketing in October, I would highly recommend he put them on the Vacc-60 program. Those cattle will sell much better in October than unweaned cattle.
Absolutely, I tend to agree with that, Dale, and I would ask you one other thing. I know that there have been some cattle already that have gone through the program. Any comments you might make about how those cattle did?
Yeah, at the time we're having this interview, John, we've sold about 3 groups of cattle, and I can tell you so far what we're seeing is about $120 a head premium. I hate to use that word because now we begin to sound like we're guaranteeing a certain price for these cattle, but what we're doing, we're tracking how these Vacc-60 cattle have sold compared to the weekly statewide average of non-value added cattle, and so far we're seeing about $120 a head. Now again, I would direct you to our website, where we will have these results posted in real time. Every load of cattle that goes through this Vacc-60 program, it's our intent to document the value that they return to the producer. So while we cannot guarantee any prices, I can document for historical purposes what the Vacc-60 program has produced.
And usually history repeats itself, so if you keep that in mind, but really and truly, healthy cattle have always sold better than unhealthy cattle.
Exactly. And our hope, our hope is that once we get some traction with Vacc-60, all of a sudden now these buyers will see that tag in that calf's ear and say, "Man, those are Vacc-60 cattle. I need to be bidding on them."
Absolutely. So, someone's participating in the program. How do they market these cattle? Is there any particular place they have to market their cattle? Where do they have to go?
They are not in any way, shape, matter, or form obligated to market their cattle in any certain mechanism. The main thing that we are doing, we're creating visibility of these cattle. And we will work with UPI, and in certain cases UPI will have options that maybe the growers never even thought about, that may be a viable option for him to market those cattle. So if he's taking them to the local sale barn, that's fine. UPI will probably be there bidding on those cattle. And so at the absolute minimal, we think we're going to have one more bidder for these cattle, one more potential buyer for these cattle. And John, you're in the auction business. I'm sure you recognize that sometimes one bidder makes a big difference.
One bidder does, especially if there's only one. You'd like to have at least two wanting the cattle. That's right. So Dale, as we wind up here now of the Vacc-60 program, somebody wants to participate. Who do they contact? How do they get enrolled? What are those procedures?
It's been our effort and our intention to train people at the local dealers in the state of Tennessee. That'll be co-ops. In other areas, there may be other dealers. But it's been our intent to train people at each location who will be experts on Vacc-60. So try that first. A default position would be to go to our website, which is www.ourcoop.com/Vacc-60. And there'll be a button that says request more information. That request would come to me, and I will either handle it directly or I'll work back through someone at the local co-ops.
Well, that sounds real good, Dale, and I appreciate you being with us this evening. And thank you for tuning in and watching this episode of Beef Tips and Gravy.